the harder it would be to push them away. And the bigger the black hole would need to grow to produce enough energy to overcome the motion of the circling stars. Which means the size of the black hole in the end depends on how fast the stars are moving in the newly formed galaxy around it.
If our theory is correct, there should be a simple relation between the mass of the central black hole and the speed or the sigma of the stars in the newly formed surrounding galaxy.
And this is exactly what has just been found. It means that Silk and Rees's theory may be right. And if it is also right that supermassive black holes help trigger star formation, then it must mean that all giant black holes and their galaxies are connected from birth. It means the answer to the mystery of galaxy formation may lie in the creation of the supermassive black holes at their heart.
The real implication of the relation is that whatever controlled the formation of the galaxy and whatever controlled the formation of the supermassive black hole is basically the same thing. There is only one thing behind everything.
So a supermassive black hole, a force of terrible destruction, could also be fundamental in the creation of our galaxy. Nevertheless, its latent destructive power should not be underestimated. Back in Hawaii, Andrea Ghez has made a new discovery. She's discovered a new source of light in the center of our galaxy. The black hole may be starting to feed again.
All of a sudden we saw something that looks like a star, but maybe isn't a star, but it's definitely a new object in our map. And the interesting thing is that it's located where we think the black hole is.
Ghez thinks this spot of light could be something amazing.
One idea that I'm particularly intrigued by at the moment is the idea that perhaps the black hole is feeding more right now.
Andrea thinks that the light she sees is coming from hot gas being sucked into the vortex of the black hole. So, if our black hole has started feeding again, could this affect the Earth, even though we're 24,000 light years away?
We're in absolutely no danger of being eaten by the supermassive black hole. And in fact, if we do think the black hole is going through a slightly larger feeding at the moment, it's tiny. It's tiny compared to what other galaxies are doing. So in fact, still, this is a very quiet black hole, in spite of the fact that there might be new emission from it. It's still extremely low.
Our black hole is merely having the equivalent of a small snack, feeding on a wisp of gas that strayed too close. The black hole stopped growing billions of years ago. Only a major catastrophe could make it fire up again. Something violent enough to hurl stars from the safety of our galaxy's edge into its deadly heart. And we now know that one day this catastrophe could happen. In January 2000, John Dubinsky set out to calculate the final fate of our galaxy, the Milky Way, and that of our nearest neighbor, Andromeda.
The Andromeda galaxy is actually falling towards the Milky Way, which means they'll probably have some close encounter at some point in the future.
At the moment, Andromeda is moving towards us at 400,000 kilometers per hour, and scientists think one day it will hit us. So Dubinsky decided to work out what will happen to us in 3 billion years when the two galaxies finally collide. After a long and complex calculation, the result was a vivid picture of the impending collision. A detailed prediction of how the Milky Way will end.
The clouds of gas hit each other at these huge velocities, hundreds of kilometers per second, and that basically creates great shock waves which move through the gas and heat it to great temperature.
At the heart of this maelstrom, the boiling gas is hurled towards the two converging black holes. This kickstarts a violent dual feeding frenzy as the two monsters spiral towards each other.
Eventually, those two independent black holes with their accretion disks will spiral together and merge themselves and form an even more massive black hole.
Dubinsky worked out that this violent collision would knock the Earth and its solar system out of orbit. Two possible fates await us. If we're on one side of the galaxy when this clash happens, we could be thrown out into the emptiness of space, if we're lucky.
The second possibility is that we're, say, on the other side of the galaxy at the time of the collision, in which case we could be thrown right into the center of this chaos.
In the active center of the merging galaxy, the huge feeding black hole will trigger giant stellar explosions and supernovae. This is bad news for Earth.
There could be a horrible catastrophe. The wave of radiation from the blast wave of the supernova would hit the atmosphere and boil it off in an instant. So the atmosphere would be gone, the seas would boil off into space, and the Earth would be toast.